All right, we're live again, and this time we got a special guest. The article on new 49ers defensive end Drake Jackson just came out. You guys can check it out on the Athletic. I'll put that link over in the chat section, then in the comment section. But one of the stars of the show is Drake's dad, Dennis Jackson, and he joins us today. Dennis, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's been fun to, just do some research into Drake and, just your story, which is, I think, really inspiring. One that's going to have a nice fitting conclusion this year. And well, I mean, it's just the start, just Drake's rookie season. But the second to last game, right, is against your team, the Raiders, this year. So I think that we both got a little bit of a kick out of that. But first, what's it been like, man, over the past, 2 weeks? A dream realized for your son, for you as well. Is it all kind of just starting to settle down for you, or is it still moving at 100 miles an hour?
Nah, it's still moving at 100 miles, man. I'm still on cloud nine right now, man. It's an exciting experience right now. Like I said, my son calls me in all the time, and he's like, "Dad, man, this is crazy." And I'm like, "Man, this is a blessing, man. This how we dreamed it up, and it's coming true." You know what I mean?
So the picture I just put up on the screen, that is you and Drake when he was 10 years old there?
He's about 10 years old. We just won the Snooper Bowl. It was in Snoop Dogg's football league.
Oh, awesome. Is that down in Long Beach?
No, yeah, this actual picture was in Long Beach. We did it. It was the Vet Stadium in Long Beach, but he played for the Compton Vikings. So
Sweet. That's Snoop Dogg's football league. I mean, it doesn't get any more of that LA area than that, right? I mean, the cool thing is that Drake was born in LA. He goes obviously to USC. That's something that you wanted your whole life because you're such a big SC fan.
Oh yes, sir.
I opened the story with this, and the story is up on the screen right here. Could you tell our viewers about the hospital story in LA? Because I think that's just so cool. He shows up at the hospital, they give you the birth certificate, and what do you write on that birth certificate?
So they didn't actually let me write it yet, but I was telling them what I wanted to put on there, and they was like, that's kind of too long. So I had to settle for Drake Jackson. I'm like, okay. But I wanted to put on there Drake Jackson from University of Southern California, starting linebacker, coming in at 260.
And he ended up being a starting outside linebacker, somewhere between his whole career, somewhere between 250, 270, yep. Right? So it's completely prophetic. You were on top of predicting that one, or you got what you wanted. But I mean, let's not pretend that this was easy, right? That there was hard work. This was
it wasn't easy at all. Like the story said, man. At one point, he wasn't the size that I thought he was going to be. So I was like, I don't think he's going to be an SC kid. You know, as a dad and a coach, you know, sometimes you have to be realistic. You know what I mean? And I was like, maybe he's a Mountain West type of kid. You know, so. But
well, it started with this. This is 4 years old?
Yeah, 4 years old. So don't nobody get mad. I didn't make him start weights. So he seen me lifting weights and he started weights. So, I mean, it came to him like naturally.
And when we talk about stuff coming to him naturally, it's that athleticism. I thought one of the funniest quotes from you in the article, Dennis, was, you're talking about, I'm asking you about the backflips and the, just the crazy stuff that Drake is doing, even though he weighs 270 plus pounds. And somebody asked you, I think, when he started doing that, did you teach him that? And you're like, definitely didn't. This came out of nowhere, huh?
And sometimes it'd be the first time me seeing the stuff too. And I'll be like, man, I didn't teach him that, man. That's crazy.
I'm pulling up one of the videos here from USC. Now, this is the one that Ronnie Lott retweeted, which is really cool. We're going to get to, that in a second. Let me pop this up onto the screen. You have Drake as a freshman at USC, 275 pounds. And he does this. I mean, what? I could watch that forever. It's crazy. So the first time you saw this was what? Sometime late in high school, maybe early in high school?
So early high school. He did it at the beach. I'll find that for you though. But he did it at the beach, and I was like, wow. He's like, Dad, watch me flip. And I'm like, bro, don't do that. Don't do that. And he's like, well, I do it, I'm just gonna fall in the water. So I was like, okay. So when he did it was like incredible. But I told him, I said, man, you know how more explosive that was that you did it off the beach than regular, because sand gives away, you know what I mean? So after that, he was like a gymnast after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he talked about, when I asked him about it at the 49ers facility on Friday, he talked about the different levels of comfort that he had to go through, right? So trampoline to the beach, and then once he gets to that mental barrier to the actual football field, there you go. With Drake, he got through the mental barrier, and now, I mean, I told you when I interviewed you for the first time about this. Richie James, former 49ers receiver, used to backflip on the field, but he's 180. It's a little bit
Right.
different. Right, when you're 270. Now here, this is the tweet that you were talking about when we talked. Ronnie Lott
Right.
retweeted it. And so, what we're texting about, I think it's super cool with Ronnie Lott. This is like a convergence for you, and I'll explain to our viewers. You're a Raider fan. Maybe you were a Raider fan. Probably still are a Raider fan. We'll say you still are a Raider fan for now. But obviously, you're now a 49er fan as well with Drake Jackson. And Ronnie Lott is not only a former 49er and former Raider, but also a former USC Trojan. And we could see your shirt right there. So what did that mean when you saw Ronnie Lott notice your son?
Oh man, that was amazing. I have the tweet. I screenshot it too, so I have it in my repertoire as well.
Ronnie Lott, I mean, I'm sure I haven't seen all too much of his USC tape, but obviously I'm very, very familiar with all that he did in the NFL, the mentality that he brought to the game, right? That hard-nosed mentality. Is that something that, as a big USC fan trying to raise Drake to be a Trojan, is Ronnie Lott somebody that you would put on and be like, hey, this is the legacy that you kind of want to follow?
Well, I wouldn't say Ronnie Lott, but I some of his toughness, like I probably explained, like he played football and it got down to it, and he had to cut his finger off to continue to play. So I explained that to him. But as far as like him following his image, probably not. More of D lineman.
Yeah, and as far as D linemen go, you're a former D lineman.
Yes,
You
sir.
played at Missouri Western State. You tried out for the Raiders.
Yep.
I guess that's how you wanted Drake to follow your mold. At what point, at what age did you realize that Drake would be big enough to play at that position? And you told me the story of when he was 10 years old. You're doing D-line drills with him, so I'm guessing it was early. But how cool was it to have him follow in your footsteps positionally?
It was probably earlier than that. I probably had him going down that hut at about maybe like 1 or 2, and he would get a little stance, and then like you say hut, and he'd go and he'd run around in circles. So, but it was probably earlier than that. But I taught him. I try to teach him a little bit at every position, but I kind of figured he would be a D lineman because he was just big. He's always just big, In youth ball, he always was just the biggest kid. Let me tell you a story. It's so crazy. We're at a game, and this guy, he's at the end of the game, and he's about 7 years old, and the guy goes, "There's no way number 99 is 7 years old," and he's telling some other guy, and he's like, "Yeah, man, those kids were too big. They were just too big," and the guy goes, and I start laughing. He says, "See, look, this guy knows. He knows." And then he says, "You think number 99 was 7 years old?" And I go, "Yeah." He says, "Nah, no way." I said, "Nah, I got his birth certificate. I'm his dad." And then he looks at me and he goes, "Okay, now I can see it. I can see it now."
And too bad that birth certificate didn't have USC starting linebacker 260.
Oh, I know. I wish it could add one.
That's what you wanted it for, right? Those situations right there. Oh, that's too good. When Drake was 10, you said you're doing the D-line drills in the room, and it caught you off guard. He pushed you, and he just had that strength in him that you didn't think a 10-year-old could have, and he kind of sent you, not flying, but he pushed you back pretty good, right?
He pushed me into the bed pretty hard, and I was like, "Whoa, hey!" I said, "There's no way. The way you just pushed me, there's no way no kid should be able to get in front of you and do without flying back like this." And ever since then, he was just like just amazing. I, I have I got some YouTube videos and stuff too of him like playing at youth, and he was just a dominant kid.
And then he went to a dominant high school program, went to Centennial in Corona, out in Riverside County in California. Matt Logan, the head coach there for 27 years. That he's just the resume there of that school and what they've
Amazing.
done
But
is so impressive. With Matt Logan was telling me, Dennis, that he's blown away by you, that you just take, a lot of these athletes, high school athletes with dreams, and basically you guys do a lot of training in your backyard. Maybe you go to the beach. What does it mean to you to kind of give back, to the youth? Obviously, Drake trained with you, but so many of his friends probably, I'm sure, got some work in. What does it mean to you to provide that kind of service and allow these kids to realize their football dream?
Well, it's crazy that he shared that story with you, but like, I had a coach come to me in college, and he was like, "What school do you play for?" I'm like, huh? And he's like, it was actually a weightlifting class, and he goes, his name is Lalo Mendoza, and he goes, what team you play for? I was like, I don't play for a team. And he goes, you don't play football? And I was like, no. And he goes, guess what? I go, what? He says, you're going to play for me. And I was like, and ever since then, I played football. And which was crazy. I didn't play Pop Warner. I never played youth ball or nothing. My first football experience was junior college. So I would say that changed my life, as far as just loving football. Like, I really love football. And I kind of think like, by him putting it to me like that, it showed me that someone cared. So I think I have that same feeling for kids,
Yeah, and that's, Matt said that, and he said, I think that's where it comes from. This is Dennis's way of giving back. And you think back, and if that coach doesn't walk up to you on campus, stuff is not only different for you, right, but it's different for Drake.
Exactly.
It's like this domino effect. So Drake being drafted to the National Football League by the 49ers, you can trace back a long way to stuff like that. It's this kind of spirit of giving that happens, and now you're giving more. So, well, what are your best memories of him?
Another crazy thing, what's really crazy, another kid, he just got he was a preferred guy, Segun Lubier. He's with 49ers too. But
yeah,
like, I call the kid and I go, congratulations. He go, coach, no, it's all because of you. He said, I've never worked this hard in my life until I start working out with you. And then he's like, you got me an agent, and look where I'm at now. So, I mean, those things like those type of things like that bring tears to my eyes. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's something I didn't know yet, because I talked to Matt Logan, Corona's Centennial's coach over there in Corona, about Segun Olubi, who's an undrafted free agent linebacker with the 49ers. I knew he was Drake's teammate, but the fact that he was one of the guys working with you makes that story even better. Let's just tell people a little bit about Segun. Coach Logan told me that he started more as a basketball player at Centennial. And then he figured out he's not going to be 6'6", 6'7", or, taller than that. At 6'1" and 6'2", football might be the better path. The guy runs a 4.45 40. He's a linebacker, remember? So that this is impressive. But his journey to get to the 49ers was wild. I think first he went to an NAIA school. Then he went to Saddleback Junior College back in California. Then he went D2, and then he finally went San Diego State. So to me, I don't know him yet, but to me, it sounds like this is a hardworking, resilient player.
Really, really hardworking kid, man. Like you said, he started off at College of Idaho. Then he went to Saddleback. Then went Division II. Then he walked on to San Diego State and got a full scholarship. And look where he's at today. So it's a blessing.
Well, he's where your son's at. I mean, how often do you see two guys from the same high school enter the same NFL team, in the same like rookie class?
Yeah.
I think that's movie kind of stuff. I think it's really cool. And I was looking back at their games at Centennial, and it seems like there was some fun times in high school. Jackson. That game against IMG that you told me about, they actually lost that one. That was Drake's sophomore year, his first start playing against Evan Neal. And but I looked up the score. It was 50-49. IMG won. That seems like it might have been one of the crazier high
They
school games ever.
they actually went for 2 for the win, and they won.
Oh, so they got the 2 IMG at the end there. Well,
Yep.
you got to tip your cap at that point. But those guys went undefeated that season, and they didn't. There wasn't another team that came within 10 points of them. It was
No,
all blowouts. Who was the quarterback at Centennial? Was that Tanner McKee? Was the quarterback?
he's a starting quarterback at Stanford.
At Stanford, yeah.
Also one of the guys he trains with me as well. So I feel pretty good. It's funny because he goes, "Coach, I need to do whatever it takes because I'm gonna have Drake and Corey on my butt this year, so I need to get stronger or whatever." So he works out with me every now and then too. So
that's awesome. No, well, we'll have to revisit this and go through some of the guys that are working out with you, because between Tanner now, I mean, he's going to be a pretty high draft pick, I think, next year.
Yes.
Who's now with the 49ers, and obviously Drake is here. I mean, these are all influences that I think probably helped Drake to get him to the point he is today, because he had to get from, we saw the weightlifting picture when he was 4 years old. He had to get from that point to first high school, then college. Then when he signs to SC, knowing the hospital story at birth, the birth certificate thing, that had to be kind of a full circle moment for you. What was it like when you saw Drake put on that USC uniform for the first time?
Oh man, it's crazy because so the craziest things, because like, say for instance, on college trips, every kid puts on the uniform for different teams, right? Pictures in it, and
yeah.
We would go to SC all the time, and he never put on the uniform. He tried it on, and so I was like, Drake, try on the uniform. Oh, not yet, Dad. They said not today. I was like, oh man, So I was like, just put the jersey on at least. No, not today. And then we took an official visit, and he put the jersey on, and I'm like, well, this is it. You know what I mean? But the part that really was more intriguing to me was when he picked schools. It came down to ASU and SC, and he just kept wavering there. Like, we were supposed to be on the show that morning. So the night before, we did 2 takes. He did an ASU take and he did a SC take. And that morning I go, it's 10 o'clock. You have to pick a thing because the show started at 12. And I said, you have to pick a school. And he's like, I'm not sure yet, Dad. I'm not sure yet. So I was like, I'll call you back in like 15 minutes. So call him back like 15 minutes. Then he picks SC. And then he calls me back 10 minutes later, and he goes, no, I can't go to SC, Dad. I was like, why not? I said, well, you got to call the school and tell them you ain't going. And then like last minute, we're sitting in Coach Logan's office, and we're watching the show. And he just walked out the room. And when he came back, so I thought he was going to pick ASU, and then he goes, for the next 4 years, I'll be attending USC. And man, like I said, uncontrollable, just like when he was picked to the 49ers, the tears just come down my eyes, man.
Wow. And you get that kind of experience once every 3 or 4 years now. You get it first with the commitment to USC, then he's drafted obviously into the NFL. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, Coach Logan and all those guys have the inside joke with you, like, what if he doesn't get drafted to the Raiders? Because you've been a Raiders fan here for a really long time. He doesn't get drafted to the Raiders, and they play the Raiders on New Year's Day. So how are you going to handle that? Are you going to be a fan of both teams until then, or and how does the jersey allegiance work in this situation?
So, like I said, I guess I'm gonna have 2 teams for now, right? And I'll wear the 49er jersey until January 1st. I got something in the works, man. I'm gonna just tell you that it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it quiet. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I got the energy from you. We're gonna keep it quiet. All right, Dennis. Thanks so much for your time. We got to run now, but it was awesome just getting you on here for a few minutes. I hope that a lot of family members and friends today, they all get to see the article on Drake and all the great work that you've done with him.
So much for this article. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Dennis. All right, this is Dennis Jackson, Coach Dennis Jackson, Drake Jackson's dad. Drake Jackson, obviously number 61 overall pick for the 49ers. Everybody, go ahead and check out the article. I'm going to pop it up on the screen one more time for you. There it is. That's Drake. Last week when I got to meet him in person, he was an awesome interview. Dennis was an awesome interview, and their story is really, really good. So check out the comment section. That there's a link right there to the article in Athletic. I believe that you could subscribe now for $1 per month. And it's a nice 3,000 word article. So there's a lot of good stuff. We just scratched the surface in this interview. All right, everybody have a great day. Thank you to Dennis. And thank you to everybody for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. We'll talk to you next time.